This video contains spoilers for the first season of Mob Psycho 100 and the first 5 episodes of Season 2. For as long as I can remember, I've wanted to be an author. I'd write comics and short stories. I'd create fantasy worlds and scroll out plot lines. I'd make maps of characters on big pieces of paper and write out their relationships to one another. It was fun, and I thought I was pretty good at it. I'd write a lot, more days than not in middle school and high school. I completed one novel, then rewrote the majority of it. I gave it to others, asked them to read it and give me their feedback. I waited but never heard much. So I set it aside and started another one. This one was a bit better, but still, I wasn't very happy with it. Something felt off. I wrote another one. This one was even worse. In fact, it was flat out bad. Once again, I tried to rewrite it. I got about halfway in before I realized that it was yet another failure. Before, I'd striven to make something good, but now I worried that I'd make something bad. I started to wonder if this was really worth my time. I started to wonder if this was worth anyone else's time. For the most part, I've stopped writing fiction, and even when I do, it isn't for long. I'll finish a couple chapters, think about everything wrong with it, and put it aside for another time. For now, I'll prepare to write. I'll get better. How exactly? That part isn't important. The important part is that I don't make a mistake. These are the first pages of One Punch Man by manga artist One. He started putting up webcomics in 2009. It's obvious that this is the work of an amateur. It's a mess of scribbles, everyone looks weird, shading is minimal to the point of being almost non-existent, panel layouts are simple. It doesn't look good. These are the first pages of Mob Psycho 100, also by One. He started this manga in 2012. There's been some clear improvements. Even if the art is a bit sketchy, characters and backgrounds are well defined. There's quite a bit of shading here, as well as action lines and different little flares of creativity. Panel layouts are far more varied and dynamic. Still, it's hardly the work of a professional artist. And yet it is. One has more than earned that title. After all, in an article published in 2012, One stated that more than 10 million people have visited his website. And I'm sure that number has gone way up since then. Plus, there's a good chance that you've heard of One Punch Man or Mob Psycho 100 anyway, since One Punch Man is one of the most popular anime ever made, and Mob Psycho 100's anime adaptation just finished up its 2nd season. Also, this video's title probably increased the chances of that. Either way, these series have gained immense popularity. One has, for all intents and purposes, succeeded not only in creating art, but also in having other people consume and care about that art. In fact, Mob Psycho 100 is one of my favorite shows. Its animation, presentation, music, humor, all of it comes together to make something that I love. But in this video, I want to just focus on the show's protagonist, Mob. Most protagonists in fiction are goal-driven. That goal can be status, revenge, a MacGuffin, power, love, or whatever else. Regardless of the specifics, the character wants something. Typically, to get that thing, the character needs to overcome some obstacles. Then the character's desire to reach their goal, and the actions they take to overcome these obstacles, incites some sort of change within them. This isn't always the case, but across so much of the fiction I've read and watched, this pattern persists. So what is Mob's goal? Well, at first he wants to confess his love to this girl. So he joins the body improvement club in the hopes of becoming someone she would want to be with. While there's nothing wrong with this choice, it's not at all in line with his natural talent, his psychic abilities. Instead of focusing on this ability he has, he looks outward at what someone else wants. He tries to become that thing. He has an admirable desire to change himself and is willing to work for that purpose. But he seems to view physical strength as more important than his psychic abilities, as something that has more utility. After all, his conception of his powers is mostly negative. Throughout the first season, he never thinks of them as something to use to reach his own goals. Instead, he uses them for Reigen's monetary benefit or when someone forces his hand. Here, his desire to remain passive, to not fight, moves him to tears. He's scared of the damage his powers could do. He's scared that he'll let them define him. He's scared that he'll make a mistake. And there's good reason for his worries. His powers are incredible, and even if it was an accident, he's already harmed his brother with them. Besides, other people like Reigen are able to bail him out. In that case, what's the point in using them? It'd be better to not use them. I mean, what if he got conceited and selfish? What if he wanted something so bad that he decided to take it, no matter what? He could hurt and kill countless people. In his mind, it's better for him to do nothing serious with his powers because the risks are too great. So where most characters are driven by something they want, by their own desire, Mob is driven to repress his desires. His goal is to not do something, to not hurt anyone, to not make an impact, to not make a mistake. But in episode 5 of season 2, this changes. He's thrust into what is essentially a simulation. His powers are stripped away. He's bullied for no real reason and unable to fight back without his friends there to help him, unless he's willing to use his psychic powers for that purpose. And he almost does, but one of his comrades comes in and reminds him of who he is, of his commitment to not hurt other people with his powers. He's also reminded of his friends, of the people who stand by him and help him. So after the suffering, he comes to the conclusion that he needs to be more thankful for those who care about him. He declares that he will do something. The fear that he will make a mistake is no longer at the forefront of his personality. Now he has a belief in himself, and he also believes that those around him will be there to help him along the way. He has a goal. He's decided that he'll use these powers to save people. Mob Psycho 100 reminded me of something crucial. Doing nothing is its own mistake. Besides, how else are you going to improve? You can't improve without making the mistakes, without adjusting things and fixing things and learning. One decided not to wait. He decided to make it. He decided to put it out there. He decided that instead of just waiting, why not do it now? Your life is your own. Don't be so afraid of making a mistake that you don't use your talents. That sort of self-doubt only serves to limit you. I know that's a lot easier to say than it is to do, but it's something I'm going to try and make an effort to do, and I hope you will too. I guess it's time to write a story.